Hey Andrew, thanks so much for joining the show today.
Amazing to be here. Thanks for having me. Really excited to talk.
Yeah, likewise. To get started, tell us a little bit about your journey in user research.
It goes all the way back to like trying to be better at video games, which is really funny. The things in games, right? If you're a competitive person, is you want to be better, right? You want to beat
Yep.
in my case, it was my brother who is 6 years older. And how do you get better at games? You watch other people play and you learn from what they're doing and you read their strategies and then you try to, you know, emulate that and then try to, am I doing the octopus strategy? In this case, it was real-time strategy games. Am I doing an octopus strategy? Am I doing like an eagle strategy? Am I doing those things? And this is also like before, YouTube really. So you're kind of like
Yeah.
piecing all this stuff together. And then at a certain point, you go, well, I love doing this. I love trying to get better at this by watching what other people are doing and by talking to people about it and comparing notes. And then you start to think like, well, could I get paid to do something like this? And then, kind of goes from there into, well, everybody's using these apps and some of them are working better than others. Why is that happening? Is this the same thing? Is the same thing happening here? And that journey then led me from an agency where I started doing a little bit of research there, and then into Forrester, where, if you're thinking about the quality of these apps, you very quickly end up on design. The apps
Yeah.
that are designed better seem to be succeeding more. The companies using design better seem to be succeeding more. Did that for 7 years and then landed at Figma, where I kind of think about what I do is like analyzing the market. It's like research on research and design. It's kind of a weird meta. Use the same methods to understand the industry, and you're just trying to provide like a view, one view into this extremely complex
Yeah.
thing that we're all living in, and trying to provide a little bit of clarity to people about what you're seeing so they can compare it with what they're seeing and they can think about, is this true? Do I believe this? Do I see something else?
I think this also leads pretty directly into my next question, which is has a lot to do with your role. I think it's a weird market right now in UX with AI, with product, like what are the lines? Everything's kind of blurring. So with your pulse on the market, what are these trends you're seeing in UX?
So the single biggest trend that I'm seeing right now is the pull of AI and the changes that it has on workflows and the changes it has on what's possible within products. And just as a headline from our AI report this year, more than 80% of designers and developers think that learning to work with AI will be essential to their success in the future. So these are the
Yeah.
people building the products that have AI embedded in it think that it will be essential to their success in the future. And that's just a really interesting barometer of where AI is right now. Um, and the counterpoint is like, 34% say that they can trust AI outputs in their final
Right.
products now. So
Right.
you have this push and pull of where is it in the process? Um, it seems essential, but exactly in what form and how, and that's everyone's trying to figure that out. We've run that survey 2 years in a row, and I think we're looking forward to continuing to research it. But one of the other things that's happening is that there are more apps being created than ever before, according to companies like IDC. And so there is this like, how do you differentiate between these different apps? How do you, when you
Right.
make something for in like a B2B context for like a delivery driver or somebody working in home repair or, a consumer trying to book travel, how do you differentiate between all of these different things being created? We kind of call it like the rise of the app layer, and that requires design. Design is the differentiator. And so you have this rising interest in AI, a lot of interest in creating new apps. Design is required to differentiate because you're able to be more efficient and cycle through things faster, explore more ideas faster, which then leads you to the roles that are involved in this process getting more blurry. So one data point that's super interesting there is that 56% of non-designers do a lot of design tasks. We've measured this. I've put out kind of a preview of a report we have coming. So these are just like these AI is sort of in the air. more apps being created, more blurriness between roles. And yet at the same time, like we have data from IDC that engineering managers think that design is more important than it was 2 years ago. And so you kind of like what looking at all these different forces, trying to triangulate them makes this a really interesting job to try to put these things together, share a perspective, share the data, compare notes with what people are seeing because everyone sees some different set of trends, some different slice of everything. What I do think is really interesting is when Figma IPO'd, we said that design is everyone's business. Like design is at the heart of everyone's business now. And that is a really interesting way of thinking about this um, in this moment with all the things that are sort of out in the air. So a lot of trends to track at this moment.
What do these enterprises see in UX? Like, how are they measuring the value and why are they investing in it? And I think you touched on this, but, and I also think there's an immense top opportunity with AI. Like, the design of AI needs a lot of help. But, like, what are you seeing? Like, why do these companies, why does the Fortune 500 say, you know what? We need Figma and we need a ton of designers and let's go.
I think the way I would think about that is that design is everyone's business now.
Yeah.
It does seem like companies are seeing how important this is when there's this new thing to be invented and designed around. And the the value of design, which has been talked about for forever, it's like a perpetual discussion, um, seems to be recognized more and more, especially when you're in sort of this new phase. And I'll give you an analogy. When the car was first invented, the first version of the steering mechanism was like a rudder, was like a
Yeah.
pole that you move the pole around,
Like an
right?
airplane, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And then very quickly, a couple years go by and they're like, oh, maybe we should try this steering wheel. And everyone goes, oh, yeah, we should probably do the steering wheel. And there's always this process of trying to figure out all of the different controls. And, clearly that continues with cars, right? You're constantly seeing car companies tinker with what's the dash like? What are the controls like? What are the buttons like?
Yeah.
How should we think about the mechanical versus the sort of software? How should we process through these different controls? And so, companies are investing in user experience because they're also investing in software and the impact of software in their business. And so that interest, um, you realize, oh, people adopt these things more effectively. It is more likely that customers buy this particular solution. They use it more frequently. They are happier with it. They will recommend it. And I think companies see that, and they also see that if you're going to invent a lot of new things, you're going to need design to help. And that
Yeah.
was the case with physical products. It's the case with digital products. And I think, it takes time to work your way through all of this, especially when there's sort of a change.
Yeah. Hey, correct me if I'm wrong. Figma makes out of beta and
Out of
everyone
beta.
can everyone can use it. Yeah, because I know we were in beta and we're playing around with it and it's fun, it's exciting. So I think this is one of the biggest products that, obviously Figma's been working on. Like, how are you t telling designers and clearly product and engineering people are core users of Figma as well. How are you telling people to utilize Figma Make? What should they be doing right now?
I mean, when you think about all of the people involved in the software development design process, all of them have some piece of context, some bit to add. It's just really powerful sometimes to go prototype something.
Yeah.
And so what we're seeing is more and more teams prototyping, and everybody on the team is prototyping. I have this idea. What if we did it this way? And then, what if we took this Figma design and we tweaked it in this other way? What if we try this interaction? What if we solve this problem in this way? And so that ability to prototype things within Figma Make using generative AI, it's a really powerful unlock, I think, for a lot of
Yeah.
teams to communicate. It's like one level beyond the visual of like, here's the idea. And, it's no substitute for like really thinking your way through all of the interactions. You still want to do all of those things. You still want to get into the details. You still want to think about who is this for and what are their needs, like if you go all the way up the stack.
Yeah.
But sometimes, hey, I have this idea, like let's talk about it. And it can kind of generate things. There's that old saying, a prototype is worth 1,000 meetings. Um, you know, Now you could do I don't know, you could do 100 prototypes. I don't know how many meetings that saves.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's a fascinating time, a fascinating capability, and something that we're really excited about.
Yeah, likewise. I can't wait to see where that tool goes. It's extremely exciting. Last question I have for you is, a lot of people are trying to get into this field, design or research your path. What advice do you have for those folks that might be listening, trying to break in?
I mean, the single biggest thing is make things in public. Write things down, write your thought process down. It doesn't mean you have to reveal everything either, but writing is thinking.
Yeah,
Don't outsource that to AI. Make sure you are thinking about it and then bounce it off of AI. What does AI think about this?
yeah,
And then maybe ignore what AI says because I frequently do. You're
yeah,
just like, thanks for the input. I don't care. And what's nice is that you could just not care. Versus if you give me some input and I'm working with you, I definitely have to do something with that. I have to learn how to be a great collaborator with you and what are your needs and really trying to work. AI, I really don't care what you say, AI. I'm going to take the one bit that is interesting. So
right.
write things in public, make things in public, use AI, stop using AI, do it on your own, go back to the AI, sort of like work your way through that. I think figuring out how to do things that AI really doesn't do well, information architecture, designing within a larger context. I think working on how to give that context to AI is an extreme superpower that if you're new in the field, you might be able to do really well, or just from a new way, you have a beginner's mind in some cases. You don't have the same context, which is both a good and a bad thing. And then the single biggest thing is to refine what you think of as good, like really hone
Yeah.
what is good design, what moves people, what makes you excited, what gives people a feeling that you're trying to give them. And those are things that, you know, yeah, we can generate a visual real quick. I no longer worry sometimes. I write a lot and I used to, oh, when is the first draft due? I no longer worry about that stuff. I can get a first draft in, 10 seconds if I really want one.
Yeah.
But is the first draft good? What
Yeah.
is it missing? What is it doing? And your ability to do that well and learn how to do that well is just an extreme differentiator. And I think trying to build that through whatever your path is, through talking to people, through writing in public, through getting feedback, that's that's an amazing skill to build and place to be. Um, that I just would encourage everybody to think about how to hone. That also then makes it exciting too because you're learning and you're getting better. And I think a lot of us are motivated by that.
Well, Andrew, thank you so much for joining the show today. It's been awesome to have you on.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for the opportunity. And hope to hear from everybody.
Yeah, for sure. Where can people go to find you or follow you?
I am a prolific LinkedIner. No shame.
Nice.
No,
Nice.
no shame. I like LinkedIn. I like sharing on LinkedIn. I write a lot of things on there. I put a lot of original things out there. And I like connecting with people there and getting their feedback. So that's the best place to go. And then obviously, places like Config and Figma.com/reports, other places like that. But LinkedIn, that's where I live.
Hell yeah, same here. Live on there. Cool. Well, we'll find you on there and thanks again.